was a Sunday afternoon, and the bylaw officer called me and said that he just picked up some kittens and they were way too young for them to look after in their facility. So he brought them over, and he brought a milk crate that was covered with a blanket, and I looked inside and I saw 5 really tiny kittens. They were only about 10 days old. Their eyes were barely open, and they were all pretty much identical. So my first thought was, how are we going to tell which one has eaten and which one hasn't? They were found over by the recycling depot here in Elk Run Industrial Park. A young girl heard them crying and lifted up some. They were in a box underneath some debris, and she lifted it up and found them inside. So I don't know if a person did that, but I'm really glad that she found them and brought them to Bylaw. They were really tiny and really dirty, and they smelled awful, and I thought a couple of them were no longer with us. So my first concern was getting them something to eat before they passed away. I mixed up some formula here and was trying to spoon feed them, and was just taking one, putting a little bit of dribble in his mouth, and then moving them to a different crate to make sure everybody got it. And the vet gave us some Mamalac, which is feline formula, and some little tiny bottles. So then we were able to start bottle feeding them, and I took them home with me that night because they needed to be fed every 2 hours. So I started fostering them in my home and just bringing them back and forth with me to work. And so we had to weigh them every day to make sure that they were growing. And I had a really big kennel that could be used for a medium-sized dog. So I set them up sort of in their own little apartment. I put a litter pan in there and heating pads. They love them. Heating pads were continuously being warmed up in the microwave for them, and a blanket, and they would suck on that and fall asleep in a big kitten pile, and it was just the sweetest. And then when it was feeding time, I'd open the door and they'd all shoot out with their tails straight up in the air looking for me and the bottles. They couldn't heat them up fast enough. Yeah, I had a lot of people interested in them, and I kept holding them off until the day they were ready. They needed to be spayed and neutered first and completely vaccinated. So that day at 11:45, I had a lineup outside, and we opened at 12, and by 3:30 they were all gone. And there was only one long-haired kitten in the group. They were all short to medium hairs, and then one that was really fluffy. We called him Schroeder. We named all the kittens after the Peanuts gang. There's 4 boys and 1 girl. So we had Lucy, Linus, Schroeder, Woodstock, and Peanuts. So, his name is Lucky now, and he's a companion to the kitten that they already have. And she sent us a bunch of pictures of him just hanging out of boxes, sleeping and playing. And she said that she couldn't imagine 2 better friends, that they're always in each other's arms and they always are sleeping together. And she really thinks that they love each other. And there's a picture of her little girl in bed with him. And so that's exactly the life that I wanted for them.